Do you want to know some good positive consequences to use with children? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting and good communication, as well as how to build strong family bonds through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we are talking about consequences. In this video, we're going to talk about the difference between positive and negative consequences and how positive consequences can help our children not make mistakes, and what types of positive consequences you can use to help motivate your children too. Oftentimes when people think of consequences and children, they think of negative consequences, but I love the fact that we get to do a video about positive consequences, because positive consequences can actually teach children just as well as negative consequences can, if not better. And I think many people tend to think of negative consequences and then never even factor in positive consequences as a teaching tool for children as well. So this whole channel is called Teaching Self-Government. And in order to learn self-government, a person has to understand cause and effect. So the definition of self-government is being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. So what that means is that you understand consequences, the positive consequences and the negative consequences of your actions and your thoughts. This means that a person has to be able to do that self-analysis and that self-assessment if they're truly a self-governing person. This takes training. Children usually don't naturally learn cause and effect without someone bringing it to their attention. There are some things that they may learn, some lessons, but others could take a lot more time if someone doesn't do the teaching. So that's where the parents come in. When a person does a negative behavior, then many people will think, okay, well, then they need to accept a negative consequence so that they can learn from that mistake. But did you know that also recognizing positive consequences can eliminate negative behavior? It's true. So think about this circumstance. Let's say that a child comes to their parent and serves them in some way. Maybe they bring them a sandwich for lunch or something like that, and the parent says, "Oh, that was so very nice of you. Thank you for thinking of me in that way and for serving me. That really shows a lot of love and caring." And they just give them a simple praise. Then the other child watching decides, "I want some of that praise too. I want my parent to notice that I care too, because I do. What can I do that shows that I care?" And suddenly they're bringing the parent a drink to the table instead of just the sandwich, And then the parent hopefully is wise enough to recognize the child is learning cause and effect and needs to be praised just as much as the first child was. Some parents make a tragic blunder and think, "Oh, well, that child's just trying to get praise. They're copying somebody else." Yeah, they're copying because it worked for somebody else. They're learning cause and effect. They want praise. They want something positive. One of the most simple positive consequences is just praise. But there are more effective ways to praise than others, and I'll be talking about that. But first, I want to mention that when a person is motivating themselves, usually they come up with some sort of positive consequence. So for instance, I absolutely love chocolate. If you've subscribed to this channel already, you know I talk about chocolate probably way too often, and that's because I absolutely love it. The darker the chocolate, the better. But when I am speaking somewhere, let's say I have a full day of speaking in store, I actually will tell myself, okay, after that full day of speaking, then you can have that nice piece of dark chocolate. Well, what is that? That's a positive consequence. It's a motivation. I'm not going to miss the speaking engagement if I don't have dark chocolate afterward, but it's something to look forward to. Positive consequences give a person something to work toward, to look forward to feel a sense of satisfaction or like they conquered something. Many times I would have meetings with my children. We have multiple meetings in our family. One of those meetings is called the mentor meeting. In the mentor meeting, we would talk about goals that the child has. The child would set goals for themselves in different areas of life. So multiple times I would have children set physical fitness goals for themselves. So they would say something like, okay, I'm going to exercise every day this week. And if I exercise every day for 30 minutes, then on the weekend, I'm going to go and get an icy at the store for myself, or I'm going to go and get an ice cream. My family really does love frozen treats. I'm just going to say it. I probably nurtured that a little bit too much. But anyway, they would set this goal for themselves. Then I would see a little Post-it note hanging on their bedroom wall, and that Post-it note would say, exercise every day, then get ice cream. And they would have little tally marks as they would be, monitoring themselves. They were self-motivating because they had a positive consequence to look forward to. Sometimes a person can develop a negative behavior, like lying, and they could use a positive consequence to actually motivate them not to lie. So maybe their positive consequence for choosing to communicate honestly, or for choosing not to lie or not to give in to the impulse to lie, is that they get praised by their parent because they're going to tell them what they did, and they get to put a certain sticker on a chart. And when they get enough stickers on that chart, then there's a reward that they get of some sort. There are so many different things that you can use for positive consequences, but my suggestion to you is to keep it simple. Many people use charts and tally systems and different ways to measure or quantify good behavior, but those types of systems are usually not sustainable for the long term. So you have to ask yourself, what positive consequences are short-term consequences, and what positive consequences are sustainable for the long term? The very best long-term positive consequence, and the one that is the most natural too, is just praise. When a person does a truly effective praise, they follow 3 steps. The 3 steps to an effective praise are describe, rationale, and then positive motivation statement. So what would that sound like? It would sound like this. Just now, I gave you an instruction to take over your dish, and you looked right at me. You kept a calm face, voice, and body. You said, okay. Then you did the task immediately, and you came and checked back. That means that you used all 5 steps to following an instruction. You are really getting good at following instructions. When you use all 5 steps of following instructions and you get all the way to the check back, then you get the opportunity to be praised and to see the positive consequences or effects of your actions. High five! You are great at following instructions. So you know what I did? I described exactly what they did that was right so that they could repeat it in the future. I gave them all of the analysis. I even spoke to their heart in the rationale step by telling them that when they do that, it benefits them in a certain way. Then, following that, I gave them a positive motivation that they did a really great job and gave them a high five for it and told them that they are really getting good at that skill. Now, there are 4 basic skills of self-government. Following instructions is one of those 4 basic skills. We're not going to go into all of them at this time, but that tells you how you would do an effective praise for following an instruction. So praise is a great positive consequence for the long term. Other long-term positive consequences would include more natural consequences, like having a feeling of trust or having a good relationship with another person, feeling like you have a good friend. Those are long-term positive consequences. And those are things that you would want to bring up in a rationale step when you are doing an effective praise with another person. Just bring it to their attention. Or maybe learning how to work hard. or doing a lot of hard work gives them a good work ethic and that benefits them for the future. Those are going to be long-term positive consequences that you can help remind your child about. But what about the short-term positive consequences? My guess is that you want to know some of those as well because you might need something to motivate for the short term. One of my favorite short-term positive consequences is a bean jar. So I just get a simple canning jar and put beans in it, maybe about halfway full, maybe even all the way full depending on the size of the jar. And then I get another jar that's empty. And each time a person, say, follows instructions or keeps a calm face, voice, and body, or whatever target skill we happen to be working on that week, then they get to move a bean from one jar to the next jar. And as soon as that jar that was empty is now full, then there is a positive reward, maybe for the whole family or just for that person. Reward systems are good motivations for people, just like the ice cream for working out. So charts are the short-term motivational systems, and don't overuse them because they get old really, really fast. People don't like to track things on paper for long periods of time. So this is why when you potty train your child, if you're going to use a lollipop every time they go to the potty or something like that, it's really only going to work for maybe a couple of weeks. Tops. It might even just be a couple of days before the child and the parent both lose interest. Also, you can have snacks like spontaneous positive consequences, like maybe you have a snack bucket or a treat bag or something like that someone could just randomly pull things out of when you felt like you wanted to have some sort of a special positive consequence. One of my favorite ways to have positive consequences is to have them be a surprise so that my child doesn't really ever know when there's going to be some extra special positive consequence. That lets them know that, sometimes in life there are these surprise positive consequences and they happen when you're always going about doing good things. The praise is going to happen every time. But then sometimes I might just pull $1 out of my pocket and say, I've had this in my pocket all day, just trying to find the best time to use this dollar. And I think the best way that I could use this dollar today is to give it to you. Because right there, you just accepted a consequence and you stayed completely calm. I know that was a hard one for you, but I see you chose self-government. I want you to see that there's a positive consequence for that. As part of the praise, I might give them the $1, or I might let them have a treat out of the snack bag. If my child is lacking motivation and they need something to work toward, I might have an envelope system where in the envelopes there are little pieces of paper that list things that motivate my child, like maybe jumping on the trampoline for 20 minutes or playing a game with mom or having a treat out of the snack bag or going to a dollar store and buying something that they could work toward when they accomplish something really big, like staying calm when they normally have a hard time with it. Those types of positive consequences can really be motivational for a person and can start trending them in a positive direction. Plan on using short-term positive consequences for the short term and use praise all the time. Throw in a high five, a little hug, or a side squeeze is also really helpful. And just keep in mind, when you praise your children, some of the most effective praises are the things that come from the heart. When you tell them that you recognize the effort that it took, or you tell them that you know that they really were trying to show how much they care about their family members, or something like that. Really speak to their soul when you're giving that praise, and that will go a long, long way. Praise is just one of the 5 teaching styles. There are 4 other ways that we teach our children and that we help them overcome negative behaviors and get to a place of calmness. There are so much more that I could teach you about that, but I'm not going to do that here on this video. There is another video that I would recommend you go to next that will go into more of the nuts and bolts of teaching self-government. It's a full-length class called The Not-So-Known Secret for Parenting Success. Click on the link to that video now. I'll see you there.